This is Seaforth Radar Tower. It's a structure I've admired from afar for many years, but never managed to get round to visiting. Last summer, I took a trip over there to get up close and personal with this once slated for demolition piece of 1970s architecture. As always, I've tried to include some snippets of information that have been lost to time, that the internet can't tell us anymore, so stay tuned. The 84, 86 or 98 foot tall radar tower, depending on what source you read, is owned by Mersey Docks and Harbour Company. It's 84 feet tall, by the way. It sits on the mouth of the River Mersey and is widely and wrongly reported as derelict, decommissioned or abandoned, but by the look of it, you'd be right to think this. However, it is very much in use, as you can see by the radar spinning on the top. Engineers visit twice a week to make routine checks on the equipment inside. I should point out that this place is completely off limits to the public, and if you trespass, loudspeakers sound with alarms and warnings, and vehicles with private security arrive extremely quickly, so don't chance it. Seaforth Radar Station, in its current form, was reportedly built in 1969, although it was built a few years later in 1973, as a result of the construction of Royal Seaforth Dock, the first dock to operate radar. It was manned 24/7, but advances in technology in the 1970s and 1980s meant that the staff moved to the Port of Liverpool building and then Seaforth Maritime Centre. Here, information from the tower is fed via cable. This tower replaced an older radar station that entered service almost 80 years ago. After World War II, more and more uses were being found for radar, such as tracking marine traffic in the Liverpool Bay. There's very little information online about this radar, but I had a look through the Ringway Library and found an interesting set of hand-drawn illustrations that haven't seen the light of day since 1948. The then new Liverpool Harbour Radar Station, which Admiral of the Fleet Sir John Cunningham opened on July 30th, 1948, was the first of its kind in the world and proved to be of immense value in the navigation of shipping along the comparatively narrow channel leading to the Port of Liverpool. The radar station was situated at the northwest corner of Gladstone Dock, about 3 miles down the river from the Prince's Landing Stage and approximately 12 miles from the Bar Light vessel in Liverpool Bay. It was a Type 30 to 32 upgrade of the Type 30 series harbour radar made by Decca. The Mersey Docks and Harbour Board contracted Sperry Gyroscope Company Limited to design and build a Decca harbour radar installation to monitor the Mersey shipping channel in 1948. This meant that Liverpool became the first port in the world to utilise radar assistance. Ships weren't directly controlled by the radar station itself, which only assisted the master and pilot in their navigation. On arrival at the Bar Light vessel, for instance, the pilot would be able to ascertain from the station the position and numbers of ships in the channel leading to the port, and the same details could also be given to ships leaving the docks for the open sea. Because of the 14-mile-long approach channel to Liverpool, its narrowness and the amount of traffic using it, the radar equipment had to have very high discrimination. Therefore, the radar console was fitted with 6 viewing screens, and the entrance to the port was divided into 6 sections or displays. There was a special display, a general view display, and 4 displays giving enlarged and more detailed views of the channel. A pilot who had to make a decision whether to enter the port in thick fog or wait till it lifted was now able to contact the radar station using his portable radio and ask for details of the ships in the channel. The operator at the station then switched on his cathode ray tubes, and on the screens, clear views of the channel appeared, showing every buoy and every ship, no matter how thick the fog or how dark the night. The details were then passed by radio to the pilot, who made his decision based on this information. In the same way, the pilot could ascertain his own position or that of any ship in the fairway by communicating with the station. The operator pressed a button and numbered grid lines formed over the screens. These corresponded to the grid lines on the chart used by the pilot, and the positions were then read off and passed to him by radio. The rotating machinery of the radar aerial was designed to function in winds up to 100 miles per hour, and icing up in very cold weather was prevented by the use of heaters. Mounted on an 80-foot high concrete tower, the aerial had a commanding view over Liverpool Bay and the approaches to the port. It was manned by 6 men on a 24-hour basis. The Gladstone radar station remained in use until the construction of the Royal Seaforth dock in the late 1960s. From then, a radar needed to be further north to cover the area adequately. This new radar is what stands today. It was built in 1973 and had two carriages carrying Victorian cannons outside the entrance. Where these ended up isn't clear. It opened after the completion of the new dock and has a 47-foot wide cantilevered control room that is now derelict and has been destroyed by vandals. It was constructed by Mears Construction Limited and sits on the northern seawall boundary between the Royal Seaforth dock and Crosby Beach. Another forgotten snippet of information is that in January 1976, the Port of Liverpool was left without any radar coverage for a whole week. This was because fierce winds caused the radar itself to dislodge. Engineers from Decca came down to assess the damage, and it took them a week to repair it. It was checked the week before after a previous storm, and there was no damage, but a further storm over the weekend of January the 10th caused it to dislodge. The repairs cost tens of thousands of pounds. Seaforth radar was left unmanned from 1989 by all accounts, and despite still feeding data to the control centre, it's in pretty poor shape. Many of its windows are smashed or boarded up. Its compound is overgrown, there's debris on the lower roof, and the control room at the top has been decimated. As I said earlier, engineers visit twice weekly to keep tabs on things, so we can surmise that the radar and all of the important bits are behind additional reinforcements inside and are unreachable to squatters, urbexers and vandals. The radar on the top is a Terma Scanter X-band 2D radar. I'd guess it may be a 2000 model, ideal for river and inner port surveillance, and very similar if not the same as the one at Eastham, further up the River Mersey at the entrance to the ship canal, which also feeds the control centre. In 2007, a competition was run by the Mersey Basin Campaign to design a replacement tower for the crumbling radar station. They were whittled down to a short list of 6, and the winning design was dubbed the Mersey Observatory. This was supposed to be the bold replacement for the station. Backed by the Royal Institute of Architects in a multi-million-pound scheme, the radar tower would be knocked down and replaced with a 40-metre high tourist attraction. However, any hopes of a replacement for the iconic radar station were squashed by the 2008 financial crisis and resulted in the plans being shelved and eventually forgotten. So for now, Seaforth Radar Tower survives. Being at the mouth of the River Mersey, it's clearly doing its job, covering a wide area and feeding the multi-radar coverage they have on the river and out to sea. I'll say again that the access road to this place is blocked and fenced off. It's protected by numerous cameras, and if you approach it or enter the compound, security will very quickly come out, and I've heard they're not very nice.